Captain Jiwan stood on the bridge of the Zorathian defense ship Bright Dawn and watched the stars through the wide viewing window. The peaceful mining colony on Kepler 442b spread out below them like a gentle glow against the planet's surface. For 3 years, the Zorathians had worked on this world, pulling rare metals from the ground to help build their civilization. Everything had been calm and safe. The Zorathians were tall, thin beings with blue-gray skin and large eyes that could see many colors humans could not. They moved with grace and spoke in soft voices. War was not something they understood well. Their people had lived in peace for thousands of years. They built beautiful ships that looked like flowing water and used energy weapons that could cut through metal like a hot knife through butter. Jiwan adjusted her uniform and checked the daily reports. The mining operations were going well. The workers on the planet's surface had found a new vein of quantum crystals that would power their ships for many years. Everything seemed perfect. Commander Hyuk walked up to her with a smile on his face. He was younger than Jiwan and always looked happy about their work. "Captain, the morning shift reports are all good. The new crystal mine is producing more than we hoped." "That is wonderful news," Jiwan said. She liked Hyuk because he cared about their people and always worked hard. "How many ships do we have ready to take the crystals back home?" "5 cargo ships are loading now. They should be ready to leave tomorrow," Hyuk said. He looked at the planet below them. "This place has been good to us." Chief Engineer Nari came onto the bridge carrying a data pad. She was the smartest Zorathian Jiwan had ever met. Nari could fix anything and always found new ways to make their ships work better. "Captain, I have been working on improvements to our shield systems. With the new crystals, we can make our defenses much stronger." Jiwan nodded. The Zorathians always tried to make their technology better, but they focused on defense and building, not on weapons for fighting. "Show me what you have learned." Before Nari could answer, the ship's alarm system began to make a soft chiming sound. This was not the loud, scary alarm that meant danger. It was the gentle sound that meant something needed attention. The bridge officer at the scanning station looked up with confusion on his face. "Captain, I am getting strange readings from the edge of our solar system. Something very large is coming out of hyperspace." Jiwan walked over to look at the displays. She saw dots of light appearing on the screen, but they did not look like any ships she knew. "Are they Zorathian ships? Maybe traders coming to buy our crystals?" "No, Captain. These ships are not in our databases. They are much bigger than our largest vessels, and they are moving very fast toward our system." Hyuk joined them at the scanning station. His happy expression changed to worry. "How many ships are there?" "I count 47 large vessels and many smaller ones. They are still coming through the hyperspace portal." Nari looked at her datapad and then at the main screen. "Captain, these ships do not use the same technology as us. They seem to be made of living material, not metal and crystals like ours." Jiwan felt a cold feeling in her stomach. The Zorathians had heard stories about other races in the galaxy, but they had always stayed in their own space and minded their own business. "Try to contact them. Maybe they are friendly and just want to trade." The communications officer sent out a message in the standard galactic language. "Unknown ships. This is the Zorathian Defense Fleet. Welcome to our system. Please state your purpose and intentions." They waited for an answer, but none came. Instead, the strange ships began to move faster toward the planet. As they got closer, the Zorathians could see them more clearly on their screens. The ships looked like giant sea creatures with long tentacles and sharp teeth. They were dark and scary. Nothing like the beautiful vessels the Zorathians built. "Captain," the scanning officer said with fear in his voice, "I am reading massive weapon systems on those ships. They have more firepower than our entire defense fleet." Jiwan's hands began to shake. She had never faced anything like this before. The Zorathians had small patrol ships with light weapons, meant only to scare away pirates or wild animals. These alien ships looked like they were built for war. "Send a message to all our ships," she ordered. "Have them form a defensive line around the planet. Get all the mining ships ready to evacuate if needed." The bridge became busy as everyone worked to prepare for whatever was coming. Hyuk ran to help coordinate the evacuation plans on the planet's surface. Nari began pushing more power to their shield systems, but Jiwan could tell it would not be enough. The alien ships entered the inner part of their solar system and began to spread out like hunters surrounding their prey. They moved with purpose and skill, showing they had done this many times before. Their bioships pulsed with dark energy and made sounds that somehow traveled through space, like the howling of wolves. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "I am receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." "Put it on the main screen." The viewing window flickered and showed the face of something that gave Ji-won nightmares just to look at. The creature had multiple eyes, sharp teeth, and skin like a reptile. When it spoke, its voice was like the sound of rocks grinding together. "Weak flesh beings of this world," the creature said. "We are the Vraxx. We have come to hunt you for sport and take your world for our own. You have one of your time units to surrender your strongest warriors for our games. If you refuse, we will destroy everything you have built and take what we want anyway." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Ji-won looked around at her crew and saw the same fear in their eyes that she felt in her heart. The Zorathians had no strong warriors. They were builders and thinkers, not fighters. "What do we do, Captain?" Hyok asked through the communication system from the planet's surface. Ji-won closed her eyes and thought hard. They could not fight these Vraxx creatures and win. Their ships were too weak, and they did not know how to fight a real war. But they could not just give up and let their people be hurt. "Nari, how long would our shields last against their weapons?" "Maybe 10 minutes if we are lucky," Nari said sadly. "And our weapons against their ships? Our energy beams might scratch their hulls, but they will not do real damage." Ji-won made a decision that would change everything. "Send out a general distress call on all frequencies. Tell anyone who can hear us that peaceful people need help against attackers. Include all the data we have about these Vraxx and their ships." "But Captain," the communications officer said, "who would help us? We do not know any other races that have strong military forces." "Someone out there might hear us," Ji-won said. "Someone who understands what it means to protect others." The Apu distress signal went out into space, carrying the hopes of the Zorathian people with it. As the alien bioships got closer to their world, Ji-won could only pray that somewhere in the vast darkness of space, someone would hear their call and care enough to help. Captain Do-Hyun Kim stood on the command deck of the Earth Defense Force Dreadnought Indomitable and felt proud of what humanity had built. The ship was 8 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide, a massive fortress of metal and weapons that could travel between stars. Every surface was covered with armor thick enough to stop nuclear weapons. Gun turrets the size of buildings stuck out from the hull like the spines of a giant metal beast. The Indomitable was humanity's newest and strongest warship. It carried enough firepower to destroy entire fleets and enough armor to survive almost anything. But more than that, it carried the spirit of humanity, the refusal to give up, the willingness to fight for what was right, and the stubborn determination to protect others. Do-Hyun walked through the bridge and looked at his crew. These were the best soldiers, engineers, and officers that Earth could provide. They came from every nation and every background, united by their desire to defend humanity and its allies among the stars. Lieutenant Commander Minho sat at the tactical station, studying star charts and weapon readiness reports. He was a smart man who could look at any battle situation and find a way to win. His family had been soldiers for generations, and he understood war better than most people understood peace. "Captain," Minho said, looking up from his displays, "all weapon systems are operating perfectly. The main railguns are loaded and ready. The plasma cannons are charged. The missile tubes are full." "Good," Do-Hyun said. "How are our engines?" "Running." "Smooth as silk, sir," came the voice of Chief Engineer Yoonji from the engine room through the communication system. "The fusion reactors are putting out more power than we designed them for. This ship could fight for days without stopping." Communications. Officer Somin worked at her station, monitoring radio signals from across the galaxy. She was young, but had the best ears in the fleet. She could pick up transmissions that other people could not even detect. Her job was to listen to everything happening in space around them. "Captain," Somin said suddenly, "I am picking up a distress signal. It is coming from about 30 light years away." "Put it on the speakers," Do-Hyun ordered. The bridge filled with the voice of the Zorathian captain. speaking in the standard galactic language that humans had learned when they first reached the stars. The translation computers turned her words into English so everyone could understand. This is Captain Jiwan of the Zorathian Defense Fleet. Our peaceful colony is under attack by creatures called the Vraxx. They have a large war fleet and say they want to hunt our people for sport. We are not warriors. We cannot fight them. If anyone can hear this message and has the power to help, please come quickly. We do not have much time. The message repeated, along with data about the attacking ships and their location. Do-hyun listened carefully and felt his anger growing. The idea of hunting peaceful people for sport made him sick. Minho, what do you think about these Vraxx? Do-hyun asked. Minho studied the data that came with the distress call. His face became serious as he read the information. Captain, these aliens are not just conquerors. They are predators. They attack peaceful species because they enjoy causing fear and pain. Their ships are large bio-vessels with powerful weapons and adaptive armor. Bio-vessels? Do-hyun asked. Living ships, sir. Grown instead of built. The data suggests they can adapt to different types of weapons. Most species use energy-based weapons, so the Vraxx ships have evolved to handle energy attacks. Somin looked up from her station. Captain, should I contact Earth Command for orders? Do-hyun thought about this. Earth was far away, and by the time they received orders and sent them back, the Zorathians would be dead or captured. Sometimes a captain had to make decisions on his own. Get me Admiral Ki-hyun on the long-range communication system, he ordered. Few minutes later, the face of Admiral Ki-hyun appeared on the main screen. The Admiral was an older man with gray hair and scars from the wars that had brought peace to Earth. He had commanded ships when humanity first learned there were other, intelligent species among the stars. Captain Kim, the Admiral said, I received your message about the distress call. What is your assessment? Sir, we have peaceful aliens under attack by predators who hunt sentient beings for sport. The Zorathians cannot defend themselves. We are the closest military vessel with the power to help them. Admiral Ki-hyun was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he smiled in a way that reminded Do-hyun why humans had become known across the galaxy as a people you did not want to make angry. Captain, Earth Defense Force was created to protect not just humanity, but all peaceful species who need our help. You have full authorization to engage these Vraxx with extreme prejudice. Show them what happens when they threaten innocent people. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. The transmission ended, and Do-hyun turned to his crew. He could see the excitement in their eyes. These men and women had trained their whole lives for moments like this, the chance to use their skills and their ship to protect people who could not protect themselves. Navigator Hae-yun, plot a course for the Kepler 442 system. Maximum speed, Hae-yun, was the best pilot in the Earth fleet. She could fly the massive Dreadnought like it was a small fighter ship. Her fingers moved quickly over the navigation controls. Course plotted, Captain. At maximum speed, we can reach them in 18 hours. Minho, start analyzing everything we know about these Vraxx ships. I want to know their strengths and weaknesses. Already. On it, sir. From the data the Zorathians sent, it looks like the Vraxx rely on bio-armor that adapts to energy weapons. Most galactic species use plasma beams and laser cannons. Do-hyun smiled. But we are not most species, are we? No, sir. Human. Weapons are kinetic-based. Railguns, missiles, and good old-fashioned explosives. Their bio-armor might adapt to energy, but it cannot adapt to a tungsten slug moving at 30,000 meters per second. Exactly. Somin, send a message back to the Zorathians. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on for 18 hours. Yes, Captain. Engineer Yoonji's voice came through the speakers again. Captain, I am pushing the engines past their normal limits. We can cut 2 hours off that travel time if you do not mind the engines running hot. Do it. Those people are counting on us. The Indomitable changed course and began accelerating toward the distant star system. The massive ship's engines created a column of superheated plasma that stretched for kilometers behind them. Inside the ship, thousands of crew members prepared for battle. In the weapon storage areas, Master Sergeant Seungwon supervised the loading of special ammunition designed for fighting unknown aliens. The humans had learned from their own history that different enemies required different approaches. They were ready for anything. Down in the engineering sections, Yoonji and her team made sure every system was working perfectly. They checked the fusion reactors, tested the shield generators, and calibrated the weapon targeting computers. Human engineering was built to last and built to win. In the Marine quarters, soldiers checked their equipment and studied what little information they had about Vraxx biology. If boarding actions became necessary, they would be ready to fight these creatures hand to hand. As the hours passed, the Indomitable raced through space toward a battle that would change the galaxy. The crew knew they were about to face an enemy. They had never fought before, but they also knew they carried the hopes of an entire peaceful species with them. Captain Do-Yun stood on his bridge and watched the stars stream past as they traveled faster than light. Somewhere ahead of them, innocent people were fighting for their lives against creatures that saw them as nothing more than prey. "We are coming," he said quietly to himself. "Hold on just a little longer." The Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system like a metal mountain suddenly appearing in the darkness. Every sensor and detection system within 50 light minutes immediately began screaming warnings as the massive human Dreadnought announced its presence to the galaxy. Captain Do-Hyun felt the familiar slight shake as the ship's engines switched from faster-than-light travel to normal space propulsion. Through the bridge windows, he could see the distant glow of the system's star and the smaller lights that marked planets and moons. "Navigator Haeun, report," he called out. "We are at the system edge, Captain. Scanning for the Zorathian colony and the Vraxx fleet." Haeun's fingers moved quickly over her controls as she gathered information about what lay ahead of them. "I am detecting massive energy signatures near the fourth planet. That must be where the battle is happening." Lieutenant Commander Minho studied his tactical displays with growing concern. "Captain, I count over 60 Vraxx bioships surrounding the Zorathian colony. The aliens have formed a complete blockade around the planet. The Zorathian defense ships are trapped in close orbit, trying to protect evacuation transports." Communications Officer Soman looked up from her station with worry on her face. "Sir, I am receiving multiple distress calls from Zorathian vessels. They are taking heavy damage. Their shields are failing." Do-Hyun clenched his fists. They had traveled as fast as possible, but it might still be too late to save the peaceful aliens. "Show me the tactical situation on the main screen." The bridge's viewing window switched to a computer display that showed the entire battle. The Zorathian ships looked like elegant works of art, with smooth curves and flowing lines that reflected their creator's peaceful nature. They glowed softly with the energy of their power systems and moved with grace even in the middle of combat. But they were clearly losing. The Vraxx bioships surrounded them like a pack of wolves attacking deer. The alien vessels looked like nightmare creatures from the deepest ocean, long and twisted, with tentacles that moved like they were alive. Dark energy pulsed along their hulls, and they moved through space with predatory purpose. "Chief Weapons Officer Jaemin, bring all weapon systems online," Do-Hyun ordered. "Yes, sir." Jaemin's voice carried excitement and determination. He had been waiting his entire career for a chance to use the Indomitable's weapons in real combat. "Main railgun batteries are charging. Plasma cannon arrays are warming up. Missile tubes are loaded and ready. Point defense systems are active." Engineer Yoonji's voice came through the communication system from deep in the ship's engine rooms. "Captain, all power systems are running at maximum efficiency. I can give you as much energy as you need for as long as you need it." The Indomitable began moving toward the battle zone, and immediately every ship in the system detected its approach. The human Dreadnought was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. Where other species built their vessels for elegance or efficiency, humans had built theirs for one purpose: war. 8 kilometers of armor-plated death moved through space, like a predator finally unleashed. Gun turrets the size of city blocks tracked potential targets. Missile launch tubes opened like the mouths of giant metal beasts. Energy dischargers that could melt asteroids powered up with violent light. On the Zorathian command ship, Captain Jiwon stared at her sensors in amazement. "What is that enormous vessel? It is larger than anything in our databases." Commander Hyok, who had returned to the ship after organizing the planet-side evacuation, looked at the readings with wide eyes. "Captain, that ship has more weapons than our entire defense fleet. But whose is it? Are they here to help us or to claim our world for themselves?" Chief Engineer Nari studied the energy patterns coming from the massive vessel. "I have never seen technology like this. They use fusion power, but in ways we have never imagined. That ship could power our entire colony for 100 years. The Vraxx fleet also noticed the newcomer, and their reaction was immediate and hostile. Several of their bioships broke off from attacking the Zorathians and began moving toward the human Dreadnought. The alien vessels pulsed with dark energy and made sounds that somehow traveled through the vacuum of space, howling cries that spoke of hunger and violence. "Captain," Soman reported, "I am receiving a transmission from the lead Zorathian vessel. Put them through." The main screen switched to show the face of Captain Jiwon. Even though she was an alien, Do-Yun could see the hope and fear in her large eyes. She spoke in careful galactic standard, her voice carrying the musical quality of her species. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Jiwon of the Zorathian Defense Fleet. We sent out a distress call asking for help against the Vraxx attackers. Are you here to assist us?" Do-Yun stepped forward so the Zorathian could see him clearly. "Captain Jiwon, this is Captain Do-Yun Kim of the Earth Defense Force Dreadnought Indomitable. We received your distress call and have come to help. Please move your ships away from the Vraxx fleet. We are about to engage them." Jiwon's expression changed to confusion. "Earth Defense Force? We have never heard of your species, and your ship. It is so large and heavily armed. Are you warriors?" "We are humans," Do-Hyun said simply. "And yes, when innocent people are threatened, we are warriors." The cultural difference was immediately clear. Where the Zorathians had built their ships to be beautiful and efficient, humans had built theirs to survive and fight. Where Zorathian weapons were precise instruments designed to disable rather than destroy, human weapons were designed to eliminate threats completely and permanently. The Indomitable continued its approach toward the Vraxx fleet, and the alien bioships began to spread out in an attack formation. They had conquered many species and destroyed many fleets. To them, this was just another weak civilization trying to interfere with their hunt. "Captain," Minho called out, "the Vraxx ships are powering up their weapons. I count massive bioplasma cannons and some kind of energy-draining systems. They are preparing to attack us." "Good," Do-Yun said with a cold smile. "Let them come. It is time they learned what happens when they threaten peaceful people." Navigator Hayun adjusted their course to put the Indomitable between the Vraxx fleet and the Zorathian colony ships. "Captain, we are in position to protect the evacuation. Transports. Jaemin, target the closest Vraxx vessels. Show them what human weapons can do." "With pleasure, sir. Targeting systems locked on. Main railguns ready to fire." The tension on the bridge grew as both fleets prepared for combat. The Zorathians watched in amazement and fear as the massive human ship positioned itself like a shield between them and their attackers. They had never seen anything like the brutal efficiency of human military technology. The Vraxx bioships moved closer, their organic hulls pulsing with weapons energy. They had adapted their armor to handle the energy weapons used by most galactic species. Their bioplasma could drain power from enemy shields, and their acidic projectiles could eat through normal ship hulls. But they had never faced kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. They had never fought an enemy that preferred explosive force over elegant energy manipulation. They had never encountered a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare on their own world before reaching the stars. "Range to target?" Do-Hyun asked. "Optimal firing range in 10 seconds, Minho reported. "All ships, this is Captain Kim," Do-Yun announced on an open channel, so both the Zorathians and the Vraxx could hear him. "You are looking at humanity's answer. To those who prey on the innocent, we are here to end your hunting games permanently." The lead Vraxx bioship responded with a transmission full of clicking sounds and animal growls. The translation computer struggled to convert the alien language into something humans could understand. "Weak metal builders, we have destroyed 1,000 fleets. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our adaptive armor. We will add your ship to our collection after we finish hunting these soft prey things." Do-Yun's smile became even colder. "You are about to learn why humans do not make good prey." The battle was about to begin. The first shots of the battle came from the Vraxx scout ships. 3 biovessels, each the size of a human destroyer, launched themselves at the Indomitable with the confidence of predators who had never met their match. Their organic hulls pulsed with dark energy as they charged their bioplasma weapons. "Incoming hostiles," Lieutenant Commander Minho announced from his tactical station. 3 ships, moving fast. They are firing some kind of energy-draining beam. Captain Do-hyun watched the alien ships approach and felt no fear, only cold determination. Chief Weapons Officer Jaemin, you may fire when ready. Target acquired, Jaemin said, his hands steady on the weapon controls. Main railgun turret Alpha. Firing! The Indomitable's primary weapon spoke with the voice of human engineering. A tungsten slug the size of a small car accelerated down the railgun's magnetic track until it reached 30,000 meters per second. The projectile left the gun barrel with the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon. The first Vraxx bioship never knew what hit it. The alien vessel's adaptive armor, designed to absorb and redirect energy attacks, simply exploded when the kinetic projectile struck it. The tungsten slug punched through the ship from front to back, leaving a hole you could fly a fighter through. Secondary explosions tore the bioship apart as its internal organs ruptured. Direct hit! Minho called out. Target destroyed! The second Vraxx ship tried to dodge, but human targeting computers tracked its movement perfectly. Jaemin fired again, and another railgun slug ended another alien vessel in a burst of organic debris and escaping atmosphere. The third bioship managed to fire its energy-draining beam at the Indomitable. The alien weapon was designed to pull power from enemy shields and weapons, leaving them helpless. It had worked against every species the Vraxx had encountered. It did nothing to human technology. Minor power fluctuation in Section 7, Engineer, Yunji reported from the engine room. Compensating with backup systems. No damage to primary systems. Their energy weapons are useless against our shielding, Jaemin said with satisfaction. Shall I destroy the third ship, Captain? Do it! The third railgun shot turned the last scout ship into expanding cloud of biological matter. In less than 30 seconds, the Indomitable had destroyed 3 enemy vessels without taking any damage. Across the battlefield, both the Zorathians and the main Vraxx fleet stared in shock at what they had just witnessed. The elegant Zorathian ships had been fighting the bio-vessels for hours with their precise energy weapons, managing only to scratch the adaptive armor. The human ship had just destroyed 3 attackers in half a minute, with weapons the galaxy had never seen before. Captain Ji-won spoke from her ship, her voice filled with amazement. How did you destroy them so easily? Our energy weapons barely damaged their hulls. We do not use energy weapons as primary armament, Captain Do-hyun explained. Human weapons are kinetic-based. We throw very heavy objects very fast. The main Vraxx fleet reacted with rage and confusion. Their bioships began howling across space, sending sounds that made even the vacuum seem to vibrate with anger. They had expected another easy hunt, another weak species to terrorize and destroy. Instead, they had found something they had never encountered before, a species that was better at warfare than they were. The Vraxx war commander sent a transmission to the human ship. The alien's voice was filled with fury and disbelief. Impossible! Our armor adapts to all weapons. How did you penetrate our defenses? Your armor adapts to energy, Do-hyun replied calmly. Our weapons are not energy-based. They are kinetic. Physics is physics, and momentum cannot be adapted to or redirected. When a tungsten slug moving at relativistic speed hits your ship loses. This was humanity's advantage in the galaxy. Most species had developed beyond kinetic weapons long ago, seeing them as primitive and inelegant. They used sophisticated energy manipulation, plasma control, and exotic physics for their military technology. It was more advanced, more efficient, and more civilized, but it could be adapted to, redirected, or absorbed by sufficiently advanced defenses. Kinetic weapons, on the other hand, followed simple rules. Heavy object plus high speed equals dead enemy. No amount of technological advancement could change basic physics. The Vraxx fleet began to advance in force. Dozens of bioships, some as large as the human Dreadnought, moved toward the Indomitable with the fury of predators who had been wounded by their prey. Their hulls pulsed with weapon energy, and their tentacles writhed with aggressive intent. Captain, Minho reported, I count 47 enemy vessels approaching. They are spreading out to attack us from multiple directions. Jaemin, switch to rapid-fire mode. Use all weapon systems. Yes, sir. All railgun batteries, continuous fire, plasma cannons, target smaller vessels, missile tubes, launch everything we have. The Indomitable transformed from a single predator into a metal storm. of destruction. Every weapon system the ship carried began firing at once. Railgun slugs streaked across space like deadly stars. Plasma bolts followed behind them, cleaning up anything the kinetic weapons missed. Missiles launched in waves, their nuclear warheads, seeking the largest bioships. The human Dreadnought had been designed by a species that understood warfare at the most basic level. Every system had backups. Every weapon had multiple ammunition types. Every defense had been tested against the worst threats humanity could imagine. The Vraxx ships found themselves facing something completely outside their experience. Their energy-draining weapons did nothing against kinetic projectiles. Their bioplasma cannons, designed to eat through normal ship hulls, splashed harmlessly against human armor that had been built to survive nuclear warfare. Their acid projectiles, which could dissolve most materials, simply ran off the Indomitable's treated hull plating. But the human weapons worked perfectly against organic targets. Each railgun slug that hit a bioship caused massive trauma that the living vessels could not heal fast enough to survive. Plasma bolts burned away adaptive armor faster than it could regenerate. Nuclear missiles created explosions that no amount of biological engineering could withstand. Multiple enemy ships destroyed, Minho reported with satisfaction. The survivors are trying to retreat. Master Sergeant Seungwan's voice came through the communication system from the Marine sections. Captain, if any of those bioships try to board us, my people are ready. We have armor-piercing rounds loaded and close combat weapons prepared. I do not think they will get that close, Sergeant, Do-Yoon said, watching another Vraxx vessel explode on the main screen. The tide of battle had turned completely. The Vraxx, who had been confident hunters just minutes before, now found themselves as the hunted. Their bioships scattered as human weapons reached out across space to touch them with death. Some of the alien vessels tried to use their speed to escape, but Navigator Haeun anticipated their movements perfectly. She adjusted the Indomitable's position to keep the maximum number of weapons pointed at the fleeing enemies. Do not let them escape, Do-Yoon ordered. If they get away, they will just find other peaceful species to attack. The human crew worked with the efficiency of a machine designed for war. Every person knew their job and performed it perfectly. This was what humans did best. They took warfare seriously, they prepared for it completely, and they executed it without mercy when innocent. People needed protection. Within an hour, the space around Kepler 442b was filled with the wreckage of Vraxx bioships. The few survivors fled into hyperspace, carrying with them the news that there was a new player in the galaxy. A species that did not just fight to survive, but fought to make sure that predators like the Vraxx could never threaten anyone again. Captain, Ji-won contacted the Indomitable again, her voice filled with gratitude and wonder. Captain Kim, how can we ever thank you? You saved our entire colony. No thanks needed, Do-Yoon replied. Protecting peaceful people from predators is what we do. It is who we are. The victory celebration on the Zorathian ships was cut short when Communications Officer Somin's voice filled the bridge of the Indomitable with urgent warning. Captain, I am detecting massive hyperspace signatures at the edge of the system. Something very large is coming through. Captain Do-Yoon felt his stomach drop. The Vraxx scouts they had just defeated were apparently not the main fleet. How large, Somin? Sir, the energy readings are off our charts. Whatever is coming through that hyperspace portal is bigger than anything in our databases. Lieutenant Commander Minho studied his tactical displays with growing concern. Captain, if these readings are correct, we are about to face something, the size of a small moon. Through the bridge windows, they could see a tear in space itself as massive shapes began emerging from hyperspace. The first bioship that came through was larger than anything humanity had ever built. It was followed by another, then another, until dozens of enormous vessels filled the darkness between the stars. These were not the scout ships they had just destroyed. These were the Vraxx main battle fleet, bio-dreadnoughts that had conquered entire star systems and wiped out civilizations that had existed for thousands of years. Mother of God, Engineer Yoonji whispered through the communication system. Captain, the largest of those ships is 15 kilometers long. It has more mass than some asteroids. Captain Ji-won's frightened voice came through from the Zorathian flagship. Captain Kim, what are those things? They are larger than our largest space stations. Those are capital ships, Do-hyun said grimly. The Vraxx were not expecting serious resistance when they sent their scouts. Now they know we are here, and they have brought their real military force. The lead Dreadnought was a nightmare made flesh and bone. Its hull writhed with tentacles thick as subway tunnels. Gun ports opened like mouths full of teeth. The creature ship pulsed with dark energy that made space itself seem to bend around it. From this monster came a transmission that filled every speaker in the system with the voice of something ancient and evil. The Vraxx War Prime spoke in a language that sounded like the screaming of dying worlds. Metal builders of the unknown species, I am Kethak, War Prime of the Vraxx hunting fleet. You destroyed my scouts and interfered with our rightful hunt. For this insult, we will tear your ship apart piece by piece and use your crew as food for our biovessels. Do-hyun looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. He saw determination, not fear. These men and women had volunteered to serve on humanity's most powerful warship because they believed in protecting others. The size of the enemy did not matter to them. War Prime Kethak, Do-hyun replied. This is Captain Do-hyun Kim of the Earth Defense Force. You are targeting innocent civilians for sport. That ends now. Leave this system immediately or we will destroy you. The alien's laughter was like the sound of breaking glass. Foolish creature. We have conquered 100 species and destroyed 1,000 fleets. Your single ship cannot stand against the might of the Vraxx Empire. We shall see, Do-hyun said quietly. The Vraxx fleet began to spread out in a formation, designed to surround and overwhelm a single target. Bioships moved with the coordination of a pack of predators, each one taking a position to maximize their combined firepower. They had used this tactic to destroy entire defense fleets. Captain, Navigator Haeun said, studying the enemy movements, they are trying to surround us. If we stay here, they can attack from all directions at once. Lieutenant Commander Minho worked frantically at his tactical station. Sir, our weapons are powerful, but we cannot fight this many capital ships at the same time. We need a tactical advantage. Chief Engineer Nari's voice came through from the Zorathian ship, where she had been working with human technicians to coordinate their efforts. Captain Kim, I have been studying your ship's capabilities and our system's unique properties. I might have an idea. I am listening, Do-hyun said. This star system has binary stars, 2 suns orbiting each other. The gravitational forces create areas of intense gravity wells and relativistic effects. If your ship is as strong as it appears, you might be able to use these forces in ways that the Vraxx bioships cannot. Minho looked up from his calculations with excitement. Captain, she is right. The Vraxx bioships are living creatures. They have limitations on how much gravitational stress they can survive, but the Indomitable was built to operate in any environment. What are you suggesting? Do-hyun asked. A slingshot maneuver around both stars, Haeun said, understanding. Immediately. We use the binary system's gravity to accelerate us to incredible speeds, then hit their fleet when they are not expecting it. That is insane, Engineer Yoonji's voice came through the speakers. The gravitational forces near those stars would tear apart most ships. But not us, Do-hyun said with growing confidence. Human engineering is built to survive anything. How fast could we go? Navigator Haeun ran calculations on her computer. If we use both gravity wells correctly, we could reach nearly 10% of light speed. At that velocity, our ship becomes a kinetic weapon more powerful than anything in our arsenal. And the bioships? They would never expect it. Living ships cannot survive those kinds of forces. They will assume we are committing suicide. Chief Weapons Officer Jaemin looked up from his station. Captain, at those speeds, we would only get one pass at them. We would have to make it count. Do-hyun looked at the tactical display showing the massive Vraxx fleet spreading out to surround them. It was a desperate plan, but desperation had always brought out the best in humanity. All ships, he announced on an open channel to both the Zorathians and the Vraxx. This is Captain Kim. Zorathian vessels, retreat to the outer system and prepare to evacuate the colony if we fail. Vraxx fleet, you wanted to hunt the strongest. Warriors we could offer. You are about to get your wish. War Prime Kethak's response was filled with anticipation. Good. Running would have been boring. Come and die with honor, metal builders. Navigator Haeun, plot a course that takes us around both stars. Maximum acceleration. Plotting course now, Captain. Warning. This is going to be the roughest ride of our lives. Engineer Yoonji, how are our engines? Ready for anything, Captain. The fusion reactors are running perfectly, and all structural support systems are online. This ship was built for exactly this kind of stress. Minho, prepare all weapons for a high-speed attack run. We will only get one chance. All systems ready, sir. Every weapon we have will be charged and ready to fire. The Indomitable began to move toward the binary stars, and the Vraxx fleet reacted with confusion. The alien bioships had expected the human vessel to either run away or fight a conventional battle. They had not expected it to fly directly toward the most dangerous gravitational forces in the system. They are fleeing toward the stars. One of the Vraxx commanders reported to War Prime Kethak. Should we pursue? No, Kethak replied with cruel amusement. Let them commit suicide in the gravity wells. It will save us the trouble of destroying them ourselves. But Captain Jaiwan, watching from her Zorathian ship, understood what the humans were attempting. She had seen the engineering reports on the Indomitable. The human vessel was built like nothing else in the galaxy, solid, redundant, and designed to survive forces that would destroy other ships. Captain Kim, she transmitted. Your plan is incredibly dangerous. Are you sure your ship can survive those gravitational forces? Captain Jiwon, Do-hyun replied. Humanity did not reach the stars by playing it safe. We are about to show these Vraxx why humans do not make good prey. The Indomitable accelerated toward the binary stars, carrying with it the hopes of every peaceful species that had ever been threatened by predators like the Vraxx. The Indomitable plunged toward the binary stars like a metal comet, carrying the fury of humanity itself. As the massive Dreadnought approached the first gravity well, the forces acting on the ship became so intense that even the advanced stabilization systems struggled to compensate. Hull stress at 60% of maximum, Engineer Yoonji reported from the engine room, her voice tight with concentration. All systems are holding, but we are pushing every component past its design limits. Captain Do-hyun gripped his command chair as the ship shuddered around them. Through the bridge windows, he could see the first star growing larger, its surface churning with nuclear fire that could vaporize planets. How are our engines, Yoonji? Fusion reactors are running hot but stable. The gravitational forces are actually helping us. We are picking up speed faster than our engines alone could provide. Navigator Ha-yun worked frantically at her controls, making tiny adjustments to their course as they whipped around the first star. Gravitational acceleration is exceeding calculations. We are moving faster than any ship in galactic history. The Vraxx fleet watched in amazement as the human vessel disappeared behind the first star. War Prime Kethak's bio-dreadnought pulsed with confusion. What are those metal builders doing? Are they trying to hide behind the star? War Prime, one of his subordinates reported. Our sensors show they are still accelerating. They are using the star's gravity to increase their speed. Impossible. No ship can survive those forces. They are committing an elaborate suicide. But Chief Engineer Nari, monitoring from the Zorathian flagship, understood exactly what the humans were attempting. Captain Jiwon, they are not trying to hide or escape. They are turning their entire ship into a weapon. The Indomitable came around the first star and immediately began its approach to the second. The ship was now moving at speeds that made normal space combat impossible. The crew was pressed into their seats by forces that would have crushed any normal human, but their ship's internal gravity systems and advanced life support kept them alive. Speed approaching 8% of light velocity, Hae-yoon announced through gritted teeth. Second star approach in 30 seconds. Lieutenant Commander Minho checked his weapon systems one final time. All railguns charged and ready. Plasma. Cannons at maximum power. Missiles loaded with our heaviest warheads. When we come out from behind that second star, we will have one chance to hit them with everything we have. Jamin, can our targeting computers work at these speeds? Chief Weapons Officer Jamin's hands moved over his controls with practiced precision. The computers are struggling, but I have manually calculated firing solutions for the largest bioships. At our current speed, we will only have a few seconds to engage before we overshoot the target area. The second star loomed ahead of them, even larger and more violent than the first. The Indomitable dove toward it like a falcon stooping on its prey, using every ounce of gravitational force to build speed that would make their attack unstoppable. Hull stress at 90%, Yoonji reported. We are at the absolute limit of what our materials can handle. Will we hold together? We are going to find out, Captain. The ship whipped around the second star in a gravitational slingshot that pushed them past 9% of light speed. At these velocities, the Indomitable had become more than a warship. It had become a relativistic weapon that carried enough kinetic energy to shatter moons. "Coming around the star now," Hayun announced. "Target area in sight." The Vraxx fleet spread out before them like a cluster of organic nightmares floating in space. The bioships had positioned themselves to attack the location where they expected the human vessel to emerge, but they had calculated wrong. The Indomitable was coming at them from a completely different angle and at impossible speed. "Fire everything," Do Yun ordered. The human Dreadnought unleashed the full fury of its arsenal in a single devastating moment. Railgun slugs accelerated to incredible velocities by the ship's speed, tore through bioship hulls like paper. Plasma bolts, blue-shifted by their velocity, burned through adaptive armor that had never faced such concentrated energy. Nuclear missiles, launched at near-light speed, struck their targets with the force of small stars exploding. But more than that, the Indomitable itself had become a weapon. As it passed through the Vraxx formation at 9% of light speed, the ship's wake alone was enough to tear apart smaller biovessels. The gravitational distortions caused by something so massive moving so fast created space-time ripples that shattered organic hulls. War Prime Kethak's Bio-Dreadnought, the largest and most powerful ship in the Vraxx fleet, took a direct hit from 3 railgun slugs moving at combined velocities that approached 10% of light speed. The kinetic energy released was equivalent to the explosion of a small star. The massive bioship simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant of physics-defying destruction. "Direct hit on the command ship!" Minho shouted over the noise of systems struggling to handle their incredible speed. "Multiple secondary targets destroyed. The formation is breaking apart." In the span of 10 seconds, the Indomitable had passed completely through the Vraxx fleet, leaving behind a trail of wreckage and expanding clouds of organic debris. Nearly half of the bioships had been destroyed in the single attack run, including their command vessel and most of their heavy capital ships. The surviving Vraxx ships found themselves leaderless and facing an enemy they could not understand or fight. Their biotechnology, evolved over millions of years to be the perfect predatory tools, was useless against human engineering and human tactics. "We need to slow down," Hayun called out as they shot past the planet where the Zorathian colony waited. "At this speed, we will leave the system completely." "Begin deceleration procedures," Do-hyun ordered. "Use the outer planet's gravity wells to help us slow down." It took nearly an hour for the Indomitable to reduce its speed enough to return to the battlefield. When they arrived, they found the remaining Vraxx bioships in full retreat, fleeing toward the edge of the system as fast as their organic drives could carry them. "Should we pursue, Captain?" Jamin asked. Do-yun watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace and shook his head. "No, let them go. Let them spread the word about what happens when predators threaten peaceful people." Communications Officer Somin received multiple transmissions from the Zorathian ships. "Captain, the Zorathians are requesting permission to approach." "Grant permission. It is time we properly introduced ourselves." Captain Jiwon's ship approached the Indomitable slowly, her crew still amazed by what they had witnessed. When her face appeared on the main screen, Do-hyun could see tears of gratitude in her large eyes. "Captain Kim, what you and your crew have done today will be remembered by our people forever. You saved not just our colony, but our entire civilization. The Vraxx would have hunted us across the galaxy if you had not stopped them here." "It was our honor to help," Do-hyun replied. "Peaceful people should never have to face predators alone." Chief Engineer Nari appeared beside Captain Jiwon on the screen. "Captain Kim, I would very much like to learn about your technology. The way your ship survived those gravitational forces, it is beyond anything we thought possible." Engineer Yoonji's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, I would be happy to share our engineering techniques with them. Maybe together we can build even better ships to protect innocent people." Over the following days, the humans and Zorathians worked together to establish formal diplomatic relations. The peaceful aliens shared their advanced energy manipulation technology, while the humans provided knowledge of kinetic weapons and defensive systems. Master Sergeant Shung Hwan coordinated with Commander Hyok to establish joint training programs. teaching Zorathian security forces how to defend themselves against future threats. Navigator Heian worked with Zorathian pilots to develop new tactics that combined human aggressive maneuvering with Zorathian precision flying. Most importantly, they established the first interspecies military alliance in galactic history, and the HFY agreement was simple. Humanity would provide protection for peaceful species, while those species would share their knowledge and resources to help build a better galaxy for everyone. Admiral Ki-hyun, contacted from Earth, approved the alliance. Immediately, Captain Kim, you and your crew have done more than save one colony. You have shown the galaxy that there are people willing to fight for justice, not just conquest. When the Indomitable finally left the Kepler 442 system, it carried with it the friendship of an entire species and the knowledge that humanity had found its place among the stars. They were not just explorers or traders or scientists. They were protectors, guardians who would stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. Word of the battle spread quickly across the galaxy. Some species were amazed by human military capabilities. Others were grateful that someone was finally willing to stand up to predators like the Vraxx, but the message was clear to everyone. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and they brought with them something the galaxy desperately needed: the willingness to fight for others, not just themselves. The Vraxx, meanwhile, retreated to their home territories and began to spread warnings about the metal Deathbringers, who turned their ships into weapons and fought with tactics no sane species would